All right, so last time we left off, we were in Solo, where Sunny, Leon, Frost, Ivy, and Jill have all finally made their way to Los Angeles, cleared a few zombies, and met up with the likes of Chris, Claire, and one of the newer immunes, that being Danny. So, with that being said, that's where we leave off. Where Sunny is pretty much finding out the information about Killer Croc being infected, as he was also here. And he's pacing outside back and forth while Ivy is outside trying to talk to him. And he says, I can't believe this. He's infected now. What do I do? What could I possibly do? I don't want to have to resort to killing him. Maybe I could just lock him up, find a way to cure him later. And this is where Ivy tells him, are you serious? Are you for real right now? You've been killing everyone or everything for so long, and now you're concerned about what to do. And this is where Sonny simply looks at her and is like, Ivy, it's Croc, the man who practically took care of me for most of my years. And this is where Ivy simply states, yes, and now he has the possibility of being able to get out of here and harming innocent people. What we do isn't pretty, I get that, but we also make sure innocent lives don't get infected. Do you understand that? And this is where Sunny kind of looks at her for a moment. And Ivy walks over to him, places her hand on his chest, and says, it's not your fault. And Sunny takes a breath, does hold her hand for a little bit, and says, thank you. And then he leaps off to actually go and confront Killer Croc. And, well, it doesn't take him long to kind of guess where Croc would be. And he does track his scent, or at least his mangled and mixed scent, to, I guess you could say, the more water park area of Sola. And this is where Chris, pretty much through the radio, tells him to be careful, as they are monitoring him through any of the security cameras. And this is where Frost says, I hope he's ready to do this. And so he does manage to kind of sniff around and get to Croc's location. However, this is where he actually does see him, and Croc is feeding on other zombies. And, well, he looks more monstrous than what he was before. And, well, this is where Sunny actually just throws a chair at him. Like, I'm going to say he does this because he doesn't want to initially really think that he's going to harm Croc. But when he sees them, and, well, Croc tries to take a bite out of him, Sunny sees that he really has no choice in this situation. So Croc lunges and tries to bite him. Sunny then tackles him and actually uses his horns to not only pierce Croc's chest, but to flip him over and actually starts wailing on him. However, Croc tackles him through one of the many structures, or one of the few many small buildings in the area, and wails on him, or at least punches him. This is where Sunny utilizes his claws and slashes right not only through the wound he had, but actually through Croc's own arm, and cuts it off. And this is where he's now for some reason jacked up on adrenaline. His muscles bulge and begin to tear, and then he slams Croc right on his head, grabs him by his tail, and then slams him right back on to his back, causing a much more damage. And this is where Ivy is actually noticing something. He's steaming almost angrily for some reason. His muscle mass is much bigger, but again, it's kind of like subtle, but Ivy is able to notice it. And this is where Frost looks at it, and then notices as well. However, back to the fight, Croc lunges at him, and then Sunny smashes him into the ground again, lifts him over his head, and then tears Croc in half, throwing him to the side. He takes a breath and tries to regain himself, with Claire asking him, hey, you okay? Sunny then takes a knee, and, well, he says, no, I'm not. I'm upset. But before he can walk away, Croc actually does gain some resemblance of himself, and he says, Sunny. And Sunny runs over to him and tells him, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Maybe I can help you. And this is where Croc tells him, no. But before I die, I need to let you know he's here. He's alive. The Joker is alive. I don't know what it was that allowed me to see him, but he's a part of this autophage, this infection, and he's one of the few leaders of it. And this is where he looks at him like, that can't be possible. He should be dead. And this is where Croc actually does die in his arms. Sonny does manage to, I guess you could say, kind of honor him by burying him a little bit before making his way back to the compound, where he's pretty much just kind of sitting there, kind of just thinking to himself he really just had to kill one of his father figures. But meanwhile, while he is getting over that, he is also part of the conversation on what the heck do they do next. And this is where Danny simply asks him, so who's, the Joker? What is this Joker? And this is where Jill pretty much explains Joker's background, the details, the crimes that he committed. And Danny is kind of like, dang, why isn't he dead? And then Leon kind of explains that, but also states that if he's alive and a part of this autophage, what could happen? To which Ivy simply states, well, considering Joker's unpredictable nature and it's the fact that it's probably not a normal zombie type, Joker could potentially become a new zombie breed. And this is where Frost notes, if that's the case, and if Croc saw him, what if he has more control than he does? And this is where Sonny simply states, all right, then that's very simple. They have to go ahead and kill him. However, Ivy does state that she wants to really study his other side of him. He kind of went berserk over there. However, Sonny does tell her it's no time, and he kind of does get himself ready to go, even cracking his muscles a little bit. However, this is where Chris states that he's going with him, and they're going to probably go to the most obvious place possible, and this is where they actually head to, the Santa Monica Pier. However, something's different. Not only is it nighttime, but it's a bit more grim than usual. So Sonny and Chris do manage to make their way over there and make their way through. And this is where Chris notes something's off. I haven't seen any zombie types or whatever. And this is where Sonny simply states, yeah, that is true. This is where Claire told me you guys encountered a lot of butchers, right? And Twitchy's like, yeah, we counted a lot of them. It's the most common zombie breed here, with a few screamers every now and then, but obviously. So they make their way through, and it's still nothing. However, when they make their way into the arcade is where everything begins to happen. This is where not one, not two, not even three, not even 10. This is where at least 20 butchers actually come in and actually start moving around them like they're nothing more than spiders. So it's kind of like a chilling scene. And this is where Chris simply states, well, I guess we got our work cut out for us. And this is where Sonny simply summons his claws and states, yeah, but at least it's zombie types that we've encountered before. But they do seem to be moving a little more coordinated than usual. So the fight begins. Sonny and Chris back to back, taking on multiple butchers the best they can. Now, because Sonny is a lot stronger, he's able to take out a decent portion of these butchers, actually grabbing one by the leg, flinging it into the other, allowing it to decapitate it, and he swings them with so much force that he causes just them to become like a bloody mist at some point. And when he slams one on the ground, it creates a shockwave. Meanwhile, Chris is actually utilizing not only his gun at close range, but his knife as well, using his knife hand to actually parry a lot of the blows that the butchers can try to dish out before even rocking one of them into one of the game consoles, causing it to, well, electrocute and fry them. But they just keep coming. They keep coming over and over. And now some of the butchers actually do begin to, well, I guess you could say some of them eat each other to kind of like regenerate. So this makes it a lot more difficult. Plus, the number of butchers seems to be going up. And this is where Sonny actually tosses one of the games, or at least one of the game tables. And let's say it's a, I guess you could say like a pool or a air hockey table, into the hole, crushing a lot of them and making sure they can't get out of there like it's a bunch of ants, while again Chris kills a lot of them. However, this is where there's still the remaining number of butchers, and they begin to become a bit more overwhelming. And so this makes Sonny angrier and angrier, his bloodlust becoming more and more apparent, until he lets out a primal roar that not only causes a shockwave, but actually makes Chris look at him in absolute fear, as he can see it. he can see the veins on him, the muscle mass, the adrenaline in him. And in all honesty, it's kind of like Tiger X from Monster Hunter a lot. He's got these red veins, his muscle mass is bulked up and sort of torn. And this is where Ivy and Frost are like, oh, dang, the dude's ripped. And so he kind of just lays waste to them. And, well, it's a lot more gruesome and a lot more violent, even for him. And Chris is just like, yeah, let me take a step back real quick. And so Sonny lays waste to every butcher there as if it were just, I guess you could say, a hot knife going through butter. And, well, this is where he kind of looks at him. You okay? And Chris is like, yeah, you okay? And Sonny's like, yeah, I'm fine. Sonny is exhausted as they do exit to find Joker on top of one of the carnival rides, and he's simply trying to monologue about how good they did, how he's simply proud of them, and that Croc raised him well. However, Sonny doesn't even bother waiting and simply lunges at him and full force slices him in half. And, well, the others see this and they're like, well, that was easy. I guess he was just like a normal infected person after all. And this is where Danny even says, yeah, that was actually far easier than some of the zombies I took out. However, Joker pretty much pulls an Orochimaru and reattaches himself. And he states, now come on, did you really think it would be that easy? Croc already told you what I was. I'm different. I'm one of the few generals, if you will, of this autophage. And Sonny is looking in absolute disbelief as he towers over Joker. Like, since when could you do that? And this is where Joker says, well, allow me to explain. When you guys left me in Arkham City, I was encountered by a clotter, the very first. And so it bonded with me, tried to take me over. But what it didn't realize was that it was also counteracting the Titan formula, allowing it to be weakened and allowing me to take over its body and control everything about it. So unfortunately, he won't be dying any of the same ways that a normal zombie could. And this is where he states, now, dear boy, I believe it's my turn. And with the strength of 7 crushers and a couple wrestlers, he simply floors Sonny right through one of the arcades or one of the few buildings in the area and leaves him there stunned. And he's like, oh, what the heck? Meanwhile, Chris runs over to him, but this is where other zombies manifest in front of him. Runners and crushers. And this is where Joker simply laughs, stating he has more control over the autophage than you think. He can materialize zombies because the autophage is just underneath it all. He can summon them at will. But this is still Chris Redfield, and he's still able to take care of them and then actually get Sonny towards the lifeguard tower, where he makes sure that not only is he secure, but they're secure, basically locking down the entire area. And this is where he asks him, okay, we're going to be here for a bit. Are you okay? And he says, the damn clown punched me. Since when does he hit that hard? However, this is where we kind of ended off here. And we see Joker standing at the more guarded entrance of the lifeguard tower, and this he says, this is going to be fun, as he punches and begins to dent the metal doors, taking his time as he does it, as he wants to savor their fear. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys.